Not far from the city of Liverpool in the northwest of England is Alton Park. That's the venue for round one of the TVR Tuscan Challenge for 1999. The fastest man in the two qualifying sessions was Michael Caine. He takes the pole position on the front of the grid. Fastest man in the second of the sessions was Simon Harris, who lines up alongside him. So the grid is split, the faster session on the pole man side and the second session on the other side. Martin Short then in third position. He was second behind Michael Caine in that session, and Ian Flux will start in fourth place on the grid. Well, beautiful spring weather, basking in the sunshine. A huge crowd come out to watch this clash of the Tuscans. Two races on the card. Martin Short carries the camera from third on the grid. Ian McKellar right behind him, and a great start from Martin Short. The front row men split by the man who qualified in third place, and Short will lead into the first corner. McKellar trying to follow him through, but a big collision behind and into the barriers. Very, very hard indeed has gone Jeff James. Spinning round there is the number 19 of Grant Tromans, right from the middle of the field. The two of them, it seems, made contact. Jeff James really slamming into the barriers there. Looking back from Martin Short, Ian McKellar is chasing him. McKellar in the familiar yellow and blue colours. Martin Short in his traditional Mole Valley Motorco green livery. Martin Short carrying the number 88. McKellar in second place, and up into third place is the white car of the reigning champion Phil Hindley. Some way behind that, and battling with the front row men is Jamie Campbell-Walter. Oh, a collision. He's trying the electrical cut-off switch. He must have no electrical power at all. And Jamie Campbell-Walter is out of the race. Beckoning to the marshals to come around and try and sort out the electrics, but meanwhile Martin Short and Ian McKellar starting to ease away. Phil Hindley in third place. Then Michael Caine, Tim Hood going down the inside of Simon Harris. He gets fifth position. Jamie Campbell-Walter out of the race though. Back with Martin Short. Looking back at Ian McKellar, and Ian Flux is going off. Oh my goodness, a long, long way off, and a huge accident for Ian Flux. Really slammed into the barriers. Out of third place he went. Well, Flux quickly out of what's left of his car, but look, the right-hand side of it completely demolished. Ian Flux seems to be okay. And under pressure from Colin Blower now is Simon Harris, as the leaders almost side by side over the line. They are side by side over the line, and Ian McKellar side by side with Martin Short into Old Hall, the first corner. Short holds on. McKellar in second place. Michael Caine in third. Tim Hood up into fourth. Let's have a look again. My goodness, Ian Flux so far off the track there. And a really, really big accident at the top of Clay Hill. What an unusual place to go off. Flux just went wider and wider and wider and slammed into the barriers.
Martin Short's lead disappeared along with the air in his right rear tyre. With 2 laps to go, Short cruised around simply to be classified as a finisher and pick up some points. Meanwhile, Ian McKellar took the first race of the season 4 seconds ahead of Michael Caine, with veteran TVR pilot Colin Blower coming home in a fine third position. Confirmation then of those results, with Hindley, Sutcliffe and Cole rounding out the top 6, but McKellar the winner.
The winner of the first race, Ian McKellar, on the front row of the grid, takes pole position from the man who qualified fastest and started on pole, and that is Michael Caine. He'll start second in this second race. The man who was third in the opening race of the series, Colin Blower, will start in third position on this grid, and Phil Hindley, who finished fourth, starts fourth. He's the reigning champion in car number 1. This is the view. Martin Short classified as 24th after a puncture 2 laps from home. Jamie Campbell-Walter starting right towards the back of the grid. No cars behind him, I'm afraid. So Jamie Campbell-Walter, with a lot of work to do, picks up 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 places before we look at the front of the field going through. Martin Short, here he is in the midfield. This is dangerous times indeed for Short and Campbell-Walter, both of whom must be recognised as championship challengers. Phil Hindley picks up a position from Steve Sutcliffe away from the start, or holds on to his place. Meanwhile, coming back on is Mike Jordan, who pulled off on the warm-up lap of the opening round of the series. He's got a pretty stiff hill to climb as well. With Martin Short working his way through the traffic. As I said, dangerous times because he is faster than probably most of the midfielders, but it will only take a little bit of a touch for them to both be out of the race. There's Simon Harris, car number 45, who's Short just passed. So Martin Short easing his way up the field. Easing away, though, from the field is Ian McKellar. Second place is Colin Blower. So Blower's had a good start in the number 3 machine. Third place is the reigning champion, Phil Hindley, car number 1, with Jamie Campbell-Walter now. Ahead of him, 34, Matt Doman, who crashed on the first race. Left-hand side of his car now rebuilt. Jamie Campbell-Walter goes by him, but look at the lead that Ian McKellar is starting to open up already. Colin Blower in second, under pressure. Phil Hindley switched the lights on just to let Colin Blower know that he's not alone. Sutcliffe in fourth. Now with Martin Short. Tim Hood ahead of us. Oh, hand out to the cockpit. Tim Hood pulling off. Looks as though he might be heading for the pits there. Pit entrance is just up the hill at Deer Leap. And up into second place goes Phil Hindley, determined not to let Ian McKellar get ahead of him, one of his arch rivals in the championship last year, along with Martin Short and Ian Flux. So Phil Hindley moves ahead of Michael Caine. Caine down to third place. There is Martin Short, now surely in a top 10 position. Out the other side of Fulstons and down the hill now towards Knickerbrook come McKellar and Hindley, first and second, then Blower and Sutcliffe very close together indeed. Looking for a move here from Martin Short around the outside of Guglielmi. That's not going to happen. Oh, little nudge there. And a big puff of tyre smoke from Ashley Ward, the fifth place man. Right behind them is number 45, and that's Simon Harris. And Guglielmi has made contact with the back of somebody, perhaps, has he or not? It looks as though his bonnet is slightly deranged at the front. Ashley Ward runs wide, Guglielmi goes through, Martin Short pushing him along, go on, go on. Arm out of the cockpit there from Steve Guglielmi, go on then, get on with it. Great stuff. Further back now, but not too much further back because we're chasing Ashley Ward, and this is Jamie Campbell-Walter, of course, the saltire of Scotland. On top of his helmet makes him so easy to recognise, so too the all-black appearance of his car from the outside. Ashley Ward ahead of us then in 7th place, so Jamie Campbell-Walter is 8th. And he started in about 28th position. Down the inside he goes, and there is the view of the car from the outside as they exit Cascades and head up towards Ireland. Another gentlemanly wave. They may not give or ask too much quarter here, but when they are given a bit of ground, drivers all recognise that somebody has made an effort for them. Matt Doman, 34 there, was smoking a little, wasn't he? Not quite sure what was going on there. Oh dear, somebody else smoking very heavily indeed, and that is the end of the race, I think, for Colin Blower. He's been touched up the back, and it looks as though that was probably from Steve Sutcliffe. Sutcliffe continues in 3rd place. 4th is Martin Short. Across the line in 5th place now comes Jamie Campbell-Walter, just passing the stricken Colin Blower. That is Short ahead of him, the 4th place man. Matt Doman puts in a move on Giles Cooper. Oh dear, and Giles Cooper on the outside there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 cars go by him. Oh dear, oh dear. A little bit too gentlemanly there, Giles Cooper. Just a fraction too much room given away. Jamie Campbell-Walter, 28, now chasing Martin Short, 88. They are 4th and 5th. Now let's have a look again at the start from Martin Short. This is where he did so much of the groundwork. Very, very tight packed field, of course. A lot of cars ahead of him from 24th on the grid. And Short really threading it through here, going around the outside as everybody else slows down. Almost as impressive a start as his last one. Here's Matt Doman. And Matt Doman being passed by number 77, Mike Jordan, twice a Eurocar champion. So he's used to big V8 engines and rear-wheel drive. Didn't even start the first race. His car cut out on the warm-up lap, and he has started from stone last, working his way through a lot of traffic. Car number 60 here, Ed Sharp, just ahead of Steve Cole. So Cole on the recovery. Race leader is easing away though, Ian McKellar from Phil Hindley. Sutcliffe in 3rd, and here's the battle for 4th right behind him, lights ablaze everywhere. Jamie Campbell-Walter now right with Martin Short, pushing him. He actually was pushing him there in the braking area into the corner at Lodge. Up Deer Leap they come. He'll go to the outside. I think he will not make it here unless Martin Short gives him room. And Martin Short is not going to give him room. This is a real humdinger of a battle between these two. Oh, Jamie Campbell-Walter misses a gear. He's missed all the gears. He's got no gears. Oh, what luck. Jamie Campbell-Walter, from an innocuous little knock on the first lap of race 1, pulled off with electrical failure, now having a monster charge back from almost last on the grid, all but one I think on the grid he was last, and just loses drive there as he's about to put the move in for 4th place on Martin Short. Dreadful, dreadful luck for Jamie Campbell-Walter. Here comes our race leader though, Ian McKellar, with even more of an advantage than he did in the first race at Oulton Park. This time Phil Hindley is in 2nd place, not 4th. From 5th on the grid in 3rd place is Steve Sutcliffe, the darker of the green cars here, and Martin Short from 24th on the grid in 4th place and looking for a podium points finish here. Well, Martin Short has got half a lap of Oulton Park, a little bit less to do it in. He won't bother Ian McKellar, the leader. He won't bother Phil Hindley, the 2nd place man, but he is certainly going to worry Steve Sutcliffe a great deal. Here comes the leader, 2nd place man, broadside out of Druids. Martin Short not close enough though. As they come under the Brayley Bridge, he won't be able to make a move there. Steve Sutcliffe will have to hold him off under braking at Lodge. Ian McKellar, meanwhile, takes victory for the 2nd time. Phil Hindley, 2nd place for the reigning champion, and as they come to the line, arm out of the cockpit, Steve Sutcliffe takes his first ever TVR podium position, crossing the line in 3rd, just ahead of Martin Short. Well, a good race from both men, but Short, 4th from 24th on the grid. What a great result. There's Steve Sutcliffe, first ever podium for him, and he looks suitably happy with himself, doesn't he? Yes, truly delighted.
2nd place, Phil Hindley.
Phil Hindley then, the reigning champion, takes 2nd place. That's some recompense for 4th in race 1. But the winner twice at Oulton Park in the opening round of the championship, and the man who goes into the series points lead, is Ian McKellar Jr.
Yeah, it's a good way to start the season. You know, Kush done a really good job on the car, and the car was perfect. The car was getting better towards the end of the race, really. But on Friday we had a lot of problems with the misfire. We couldn't really get the car to handle. But you know, it's all come together today. Thank God.
Oulton, the circuit you enjoy?
Yeah, my first race was at Oulton, so I've always enjoyed Oulton Park. So move on to Donington Park next week and see what goes there.
Well, I'm sure that Ian Flux, Jamie Campbell-Walter and Martin Short, among others, will be hoping for slightly better luck at Oulton Park. Meanwhile, though, double race winner Ian McKellar is the championship points leader in the 99 TVR Tuscan Challenge.
At Donington Park for round 2, Jamie Campbell-Walter's luck turned as he led Martin Short to the flag to take victory in race 1. Behind, Mike Jordan also had a better day to come home 3rd, 3.5 seconds behind the leader. But Jamie Campbell-Walter was looking happy with his first win of 99 and expecting more later in the season. Race 2 at Donington, and bright but cool conditions as the crowd waited for the huge grid to be let loose.
Well, Jamie Campbell-Walter doesn't get a good getaway, nor does Mike Jordan. Oh my goodness me, and Jordan off. And that's Colin Blower with him. They're both in the pit wall, and we saw that from Giles Cooper's onboard as they flashed across the screen in front of his vision. Well, that's some impact. Down the hill, Martin Short leads from Jamie Campbell-Walter and Ian McKellar in 3rd place. Just ahead of us in 7th is Steve Sutcliffe. That makes Michael Caine in 8th. Oh, and another one, they're going off all over the place. Troy Dunlop, car number 4, and that's Simon Harris, the 45 machine. Oh dear, well, contact between them going down the Craner curves with predictable results, I'm afraid. Both men off the track, at least temporarily. Looking back from Phil Hindley, the battle for 6th place. The yellow car is Giles Cooper. Oh, getting hung up on the nose of Steve Sutcliffe. Sutcliffe's car is damaged, Cooper's is off the track. And side-by-side battles for 2nd place. Jamie Campbell-Walter holds on to that. And for 4th place, and Phil Hindley takes it from number 7. And that's Ian Flux, and there he is, right behind us. Confirmation then of that change. Flux in 5th place, Hindley in 4th. Flux, of course, a former champion, and Phil Hindley, the reigning champion. Short leads, Campbell-Walter still under pressure in 2nd place. The 96 machine is Ian McKellar. And there are the 2 stricken cars. Jordan and Blower in the pit wall, drivers out, and hands out to the cockpit from everybody to show that they know there is a yellow flag situation there, and they're not going to make a move. It's all cleared up by the time they get to Redgate, so a move into Redgate is possible. Now let's have a look back from Phil Hindley's viewpoint. We should go flying past Jordan, and there's where the contact came. Jordan gets tapped by Sutcliffe on the side, and that's enough to knock his steering and turn him into Colin Blower. Jordan, the white car, just left of centre of the picture, meanders over, gets a hit. Oh, and sharp left he turns, doesn't he? Colin Blower, no chance at all of avoiding that. Nor really, I'm afraid, did Mike Jordan. Accidental collision between him and Sutcliffe. Nobody really can be held to blame for that one. Martin Short on the racing line. Jamie Campbell-Walter right to the outside. Lets McKellar go down the inside. Now he'll try and fire up the inside as they go up to Goddard's. And McKellar is blocking, and Campbell-Walter can't make the move. Stays out wide. Again, looking for a good exit here rather than going in quickly. And behind them with Giles Cooper. And he is now coming up towards Goddard's as well. Looking down the inside, doesn't happen for him there. Campbell-Walter now third with Phil Hindley right behind him. Fifth place Ian Flux. But look at Martin Short's advantage as he comes down the Craner curves. It's growing and growing. Phil Hindley has got past Campbell-Walter into second place, but doesn't seem to be going any quicker for all that. Campbell-Walter may well lose third in a moment or two, though. Martin Short concentrating on placing the car perfectly on the circuit. As much acceleration and as little braking as he thinks he can get away with. And he can do it perfectly because he's not under pressure from behind. And that's very bad news for the others. You let Martin Short get away, generally he tends to stay away. Ian McKellar in second, Jamie Campbell-Walter not close enough to make a move in third, but Phil Hindley is close enough to make a move on Campbell-Walter. Let's see it here. Yes, he does get down the inside. Smoking tyres as he squares them off by locking them up. Jamie Campbell-Walter waving out of the cockpit, and I don't think that was a thumbs up well done. I think perhaps he feels that it might have been left just a fraction too late there by Phil Hindley. And here we are just at the tail end of the top 10. Andy Britnell is the man leading them through. Matt Doman and Giles Cooper following him through Schwantz Curve and into the braking area for McLean's. Jamie Campbell-Walter makes his move. Will he reappear? No, he won't, so he gets by there. Phil Hindley goes down a spot. Ian Flux, oh, big slide there from Ian Flux. He was on the power very, very early indeed coming out of Coppice. I think he maybe had a sniff of making a move here. Let's see how it works under braking. Flux not close enough to look. Campbell-Walter third, Hindley fourth, Flux in fifth. And suddenly Ian Flux has stopped. Well, he really did get the drive on very quickly out of Coppice. I was surprised he couldn't catch Hindley down the straight, but now it looks as though something has coughed and died in the number 7 machine. Meanwhile, Steve Hyde under pressure from Ian Ashley, the dark blue car going down the inside, and Ashley, number 48, Colin Blower's teammate, takes the position. But it's Martin Short all the way here. Jamie Campbell-Walter, the winner of race 1. Martin Short was second. And now he takes victory in race 2 at round 2 at Donington Park. Victory for him then, second for Ian McKellar, third for Jamie Campbell-Walter, fourth Phil Hindley, fifth Michael Caine, and sixth Steve Cole. And that puts Ian McKellar atop the championship point standings, heading the reigning champion, Michael Caine in third and Martin Short in fourth.
Brilliant sunshine and huge crowds greeted the competitors at Brands Hatch for the third round. In the first race, it was Michael Caine who was in front as the leaders began to catch the back markers on the tight and twisty Indy circuit.
The leaders now starting to come into traffic, and maybe this will be a chance for Campbell-Walter. Oh, again, he lunges down the inside. There's a little rub of contact. Michael Caine is just not as good there as Jamie Campbell-Walter is, and Campbell-Walter is getting closer and closer, and at some stage in this race, he must get alongside into that corner, or there will be a big contact somewhere. Into paddock they go again. Caine, Campbell-Walter and Hindley. Mike Jordan right with them as they come up behind the slower cars. They're being waved through by the back markers. The lead train continues. Down the hill they go. Michael Caine still leads. Locks up going into Graham Hill Bend. Oh, Ian Flux goes off into the gravel at Druids, but that was a mistake from Michael Caine, and Jamie Campbell-Walter alongside him going into Surtees. Incredible. Sits there as well as they turn into McLaren. He's ahead on the road, but Caine's got the shorter line around the inside. Campbell-Walter can't make this stick. The big question is, can Phil Hindley get inside him? No, he can't. Hindley was not there to take advantage of that. Campbell-Walter now right behind the leader, as he has been so many times, but this time he lunges down the inside, hits Michael Caine. Caine slides, he holds it, but Campbell-Walter's alongside him, and inside Mike Jordan goes Ian McKellar behind them, side by side into Druids. Campbell-Walter has the lead. Mike Jordan with Ian McKellar now ahead of him and into 4th place, so McKellar 4th, Jordan down to 5th. New leader then. More puffs of tyre smoke as they go into Graham Hill Bend. Very difficult indeed, that corner is. Michael Caine again with wheels on the dirt. No room inside him though for Phil Hindley, not turning into Surtees. What about McLaren? He goes out wide. In tight comes Phil Hindley, but that won't work. Michael Caine gets much better drive out through Clearways and onto the Brabham Straight, so he's still in 2nd place, though Jamie Campbell-Walter leads him across the line for the final lap. Hindley looking for 2nd place here. He's going to have to be very daring indeed under braking. He's lunging for the inside at Druids, but that's partially to stave off Ian McKellar in 4th place. The blue and yellow car really threatening him from behind. And a mistake there by Hindley. It really is very difficult indeed. The reprofiled Graham Hill Bend, forcing mistakes out of the drivers. Campbell-Walter leads them into Surtees. 2nd place still Michael Caine. 3rd place still number 1, Phil Hindley. There he is, right in the middle of the frame. 4th and 5th are Jordan and McKellar, or McKellar and Jordan. It will stay at the line. Jamie Campbell-Walter wins a tough race from Michael Caine. Phil Hindley 3rd. Mike Jordan just couldn't get the drive on Ian McKellar to take back that 4th place. So it's McKellar in 4th and Jordan in 5th. But those 5 really ran away from the rest of the field. I'm sure there'll be words between Campbell-Walter and Caine later on, but a thumbs up between them. Victory then for Jamie Campbell-Walter. There he is in the cap. Phil Hindley in the centre, and on the right Michael Caine. And there is the top 6 from the first race of round 3 of the TVR Tuscan Challenge at Brands.
Jamie Campbell-Walter was obviously on a roll at Brands. He stalked Martin Short and overtook him, with Short eventually dropping to 3rd. Phil Hindley it was that pressured him to the flag.
Campbell-Walter will win for the 2nd time at Brands Hatch. It's a double for Jamie. Phil Hindley in 2nd place. Well, Jamie Campbell-Walter delighted with that, as well he should be. Wins both races at Brands Hatch, under pressure all the way in both of them. And he had to fight hard to take the lead in race 1 from Michael Caine. The rest of the field still coming round. Not all of them are going to make it facing in the right direction. Into the gravel goes Dave Porter, having spun Jeff Evans. Well, maybe they will make it to the line after all. There is your top 3 though. Jamie Campbell-Walter, Phil Hindley 2nd, Martin Short in 3rd. And then McKellar, Jordan and Caine, the top 6. McKellar still the series leader.
Ian McKellar again proved his skill around Alton Park when the championship returned there. He won the first race from Martin Short and an on-form Tim Hood, having one of his best races of the season, with Grant Tromans likewise in 4th. Heat 2 was a close one. Hindley, Sutcliffe and Caine just a few cars' lengths apart, or 0.3 of a second.
Field assembling for the main race in round 4 of the TVR Tuscan Challenge at Alton Park, but without one of the leading lights. Jamie Campbell-Walter had crashed heavily in practice, his car spinning, exiting Deer Leap and hitting the end of the pit wall side on. Jamie Campbell-Walter hospitalised with concussion, but otherwise okay. Ready to go at the start, and Martin Short, another demon getaway. He seems to really have the knack of this, going around the outside of Phil Hindley, can't quite pull it off. Ian McKellar leads then. Hindley 2nd, Short 3rd, Sutcliffe in 4th, Michael Caine in 5th place as they head down the hill for the first time. And going off onto the grass looks like Giles Cooper, a long way off there. Julian Locke chasing down the hill behind the number 55 car of Justin Cadman. And Locke substituting for Simon Harris, the regular incumbent there. Harris had to rush home with a family crisis, and in true racing spirit, Julian Locke, one of the team members, substituting as driver for the race. Well, he'll be in the deep end, no mistake about it, but Ian McKellar leading them out of Shell Oils for the first time up to Fulstons. There is Ian Flux. Mention his bogey here, and at least he has managed to go further than Giles Cooper. Cooper off on the grass and parked at the bottom of the hill. McKellar leading then from Hindley, Short, Sutcliffe, Kane, Tim Hood, third in his qualifying heat. And out to the cockpit on the left-hand side, Ashley Ward. Just a couple of spots behind him, the red tail to the car there is Ashley Ward's. He's been hit by somebody. And looks like he's pulling off into the pits to try and get the rear bodywork pulled off the tyre. McKellar leads then, Hindley second, Short, Sutcliffe and Kane, 5-car breakaway. They're being chased down by Tim Hood, yellow, black and white machine in 6th place. Don't worry about the scraping noises there, it's just the car bottoming out in the tight Shell Oils corner. Through Island we go with Julian Locke, and he is in the middle of the picture there, the number 45 machine. Ed Sharp right behind him, hoping to take advantage perhaps of Julian's lack of race experience in these machines. No lack of race experience up front though. Mike Jordan monstering behind the yellow, black and white car of Tim Hood. Headlights ablaze, a little bit of trichology going on there to try and make his car look wider than it normally is. The eye will always pick up a bright light. Julian Locke just getting the chicane all wrong there, going into the tyres at Knickerbrook. Trying to find some traction on the grass. Slick tyres don't really like grass. And back onto the circuit he goes. Lost a handful of places there and some more besides. Here's Ed Sharp, the orange car, with Richard Stanton right behind him. They were the queue that were following behind Julian Locke. Number 8 there, Peter Wheeler, the chairman of TVR. And PR man Ben Samuelson also in the field. Replay of that incident, Locke ahead. And Ed Sharp gets down the inside, turns in, all over the curbs, and well, that's a classic racing incident, both of them getting tangled up, and Julian Locke unfortunately left with no track ahead of him and just a stack of tyres, losing about 8 places. Mike Jordan versus Tim Hood out of Druids. Oh, this is brave stuff. Side by side through Druids, no thanks, not me. Glad we're only riding along with them rather than having to do the steering. Tim Hood on the brakes as somebody else goes down the inside as well. In fact, he loses a couple of places there. Ian Flux goes through, and so does Steve Hyde. So Tim Hood losing 3 places there. Jordan levered him off the racing line, and the other 2 followed through. McKellar, Hindley, Short, Sutcliffe under pressure from Kane, looking down the inside into Cascades. He stays there as well. Great move by Michael Kane, hanging on the inside, forcing Steve Sutcliffe wide. Now he's got the inside line at Island. And yes, Sutcliffe has to give best there because he knows that there'll be no room on the outside, but that is not over yet. Michael Kane up to 4th, but I don't think that Steve Sutcliffe will let that one lie for too long. Sutcliffe really impressive over the last couple of seasons, his ability to adapt to these cars and get quicker and quicker and quicker. Riding with Tim Hood then, chasing Ian Flux and Steve Hyde. Tim Hood now down to 9th place. Cameras pan back to Ireland, and that's Ben Samuelson getting tangled up down the inside of Richard Stanton. Looks as though Ben has missed a gear or 2, crawling out of the corner with his hand up. That may be the end of his race. And cameras pan round with a yellow car. And who is that? Justin Cadman, I think, the 55 machine, when the dust settles. It is indeed, so he's gone off exiting Druids. So he goes out as well. Martin Short under pressure from Michael Kane. Well, Kane has managed to shake off Sutcliffe. What can he do now about 3rd place man Short? Short ran really strongly in his qualifying race, running Ian McKellar all the way to the line, but Kane goes around the outside, takes the position into Island. Just simply drove around the outside of Martin Short there. Good move from him. Battles all the way down through the field. Peter Wheeler's still going, even though his PR man isn't. Riding again with Julian Locke, and ooh, can we avoid it? Yes, we do. Avoids the spinning Terry Pudwell, and Pudwell should manage to get the lock on and avoid the stationary number 55 car of Justin Cadman. Okay, trying to find some grip on those big, broad slicks on the grass. Michael Caine is really looking impressive here, isn't he? He's now challenging for second place. Phil Hindley under pressure. Getting squirrely out of the chicane, trying to get the power on before he's even halfway through to the apex of the second part of Knickerbrook. Over the hill they go towards Druids. The checkered flag awaits Ian McKellar, surely. But what will be the outcome of the battle for second? Hindley leads Caine, Short, Jordan and Sutcliffe, and Mike Jordan, oh dear, having a vicious weave there as going down the inside. Michael Caine is fended off by Phil Hindley, just holds him off. The reigning champion driving very well indeed, just to take second place at the line by 0.2 of a second. Fantastic result. Ian McKellar the victor then, and still the championship points leader. Michael Caine, winner of the first qualifying heat at round 5 of the TVR Tuscan Challenge, takes his place on pole position for the third instalment at Croft. Winner of the second race, which was slightly slower, was Steve Guglielmi, so the men in his field line on the outside of the grid. Behind Caine then, Phil Hindley, the man who finished second to him, last year's championship winner, and behind Guglielmi, the man who finished second to him, Ian McKellar, and so forth down the line. Well, the track now greasier than either of the previous races, but look at McKellar go from the outside right up against the pit wall. Oh my goodness, what fabulous traction he found, riding with Mike Jordan behind Steve Sutcliffe. But it's McKellar all the way into and out of the first turn. Remarkable getaway from the line by Ian McKellar from the outside of row 2 of the grid. Looking back from Steve Guglielmi on the outside of row 1, that's Mike Jordan, 77 behind him. Guglielmi had a dreadful getaway, dropped right back down the order. Mike Jordan started 6th, Guglielmi started 2nd. They shouldn't be close together, but they are. Guglielmi 6th and Jordan in 7th place as Ian McKellar leads them round. Well, a very big field here. Ben Samuelson, the TVR PR man, in the number 12 machine, and the boss of the company, Peter Wheeler, will be out in number 8. Martin Short there in 3rd place, haranguing Michael Caine in 2nd, and the leader, Ian McKellar. Jamie Campbell-Walter, the black machine there, right in the middle of the field, started in 14th place. McKellar leads Caine, Short 3rd. 4th place is Phil Hindley, the green car of Steve Sutcliffe in 5th place. There he is. 6th is Guglielmi in 6th position. And 7th is the number 77, Mike Jordan. With Grant Tremans chasing the number 5 machine of Colin Blower. Goes down the inside. Ooh, I think contact between the two of them there. Certainly Tremans going over the curbs and giving the car a good shaking. Colin Blower coming back at him there, pulling alongside as the leaders go through Clervaux. Let's see, Blower's on the inside, a spin ahead, oh my goodness me, and a loose wheel. Well, there's Andy Britnell on the outside, and the wheel looked to be coming off Julian Locke's car as he turned in over the curbs. The wheel is broken. Now, whether that's a result of earlier contact or not is a little bit hard to tell. Martin Short goes down the inside of Phil Hindley, gets pushed round the corner. Hindley comes back at him. Well, now, that was a confusing incident for Julian Locke there. He seems to be okay. Meanwhile, race leader comes towards us. Michael Caine chasing. Ian McKellar holding him off comfortably at the moment. Martin Short anything but comfortable in 3rd place. Hindley still right with him at the end of the lap through the hairpin. Push, 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 push. Back of Short's car gets damaged. Hindley 2nd, Guglielmi 3rd in this little group. Martin Short with his hand out to the cockpit. He's seen the black and yellow quartered flag. That means assume safety car situation. So Martin Short saw that first, and that's why, of course, because if the cars go off at Clervaux or Hawthorne there, then they are going to hit the stationary machines. Well, look at the back of Martin Short's car. Tyre smoke pouring off the damaged rear of it. Julian Locke's car being trailered away. Andy Britnell's already out of the way, and there is the sheared wheel. Quite a bizarre one there. Well, ready to go again as Ian McKellar blasts out of the final turn. Restarts here at Croft always favour the leader because of the tight hairpin that leads onto the main straight. So McKellar leads from Kane. Martin Short third, but for how long I wonder, from Hindley, Guglielmi, Jordan, Sutcliffe. Then number 4, the burgundy and white car of Troy Dunlop ahead of the black 28 machine of Jamie Campbell-Walter. Campbell-Walter makes a move exiting Hawthorn, and into the chicane he has that place. McKellar first, Kane second, Short third, Hindley fourth, Guglielmi fifth, Jordan sixth. 7th place the green car there of Sutcliffe, 8th now Campbell-Walter, 9th Troy Dunlop. And the gaps among the leaders starting to stretch a little, courtesy largely of that restart. Martin Short not yet under the pressure he was before, but oh my goodness me! Ed Sharp losing it there, getting completely out of shape, strikes the barriers as well, oh dear, and that's the end of his steering. So Ed Sharp out of the race, and he'll be lucky if he can guide that off the racetrack. I think he has damaged the front end very substantially. Yes, look, it's turning sharp left on the left-hand side, whether he wants it to or not. Phil Hindley there, 3rd place, trying to go around the outside of Martin Short. One thing Martin Short does know, it's how to defend a racing line. He stays nice and tight, comes out with a good run, but look, he's really being hampered. Hand out of the cockpit, he knows he's in trouble. Hindley powers past, so does Guglielmi. Short's got no acceleration at all. Jordan comes past him too. Martin Short, slow puncture, pretty certain he has, but he's also got a major drag problem. The tyre rubbing heavily on the body there. Sutcliffe and Campbell-Walter about to go past him, and McKellar under pressure for the lead. Michael Caine squeezes through the inside at Tower Bend. He just gets through, but he does get through. So Michael Caine now leads. Well, Ian McKellar in 2nd place won't take that lying down. You can be sure that this will be a race for the flag. And already he's coming back at him. Caine with McKellar right up underneath the rear bodywork. 3rd is Hindley, 4th is Guglielmi, 5th is Jordan, and then Sutcliffe goes past finally Martin Short, so too does Jamie Campbell-Walter, but Ian McKellar comes back again. Great stuff into the S-bend. Michael Caine back into 2nd, put firmly in his place by Ian McKellar. And Martin Short, well, he doesn't get any drive at all out of the hairpin, but around the rest of the lap he's not too bad. Hand out of the cockpit there. Steve Sutcliffe thinking about a move on Jamie Campbell-Walter, just saw the yellow flags in time, signalling that he was not going to go for the move, and to warn Martin Short about it. Now then, the battle for the lead becoming a 4-way one. Mike Jordan in 77 needs to catch them up a little bit, make that a 5-way contest. McKellar leads Caine, leads Hindley, leads Guglielmi. Jordan a little bit behind them in 5th place. Michael Caine not doing much chasing now, but rather more being caught by Phil Hindley, and Hindley in his own turn being caught by Guglielmi. So this all helps Ian McKellar. He has about a car's length over Michael Caine, maybe 2, not much more though. But the more Caine is pressed from behind, the less chance he has of making a move on McKellar, and that all plays into the leader's hands. Again out of the hairpin. Ian McKellar needs to get good drive, and he does. Guglielmi having a think about trying something with Phil Hindley. Will he be alongside over the line? No, Hindley's still ahead. I don't think there's a chance for an overtaking move there for Guglielmi. Hindley defending too well, but it does mean that Hindley has to pay attention to Guglielmi, and for a moment at least drops back from Caine. McKellar skips over the curbs. Caine 2nd, Hindley 3rd. The black nose, the white rear of his car. And towards us they come. The checkered flag on the nose of McKellar's car, so distinctive. Always easy to pick him out in the crowd. Number 1, the reigning champion, Phil Hindley. Beats Bobby Verdenroe to the 98 title. Verdenroe the 97 TVR Tuscan Challenge champion. Riding again with Ben Samuelson. Little red light there indicating the need for a gear change when maximum revs are attained. On the AJP V8 in these TVR Tuscans. Good move, Ben, down the inside into Tower. Nicely executed. See, he drives a good race as well as talks one. Oh dear, he didn't type in the line about losing it on the exit there quite accurately enough. Now, Steve Guglielmi in the number 6 machine, right on the tail of Phil Hindley and looking to make a move under braking. Oh, I think he's hit him. I think he did. I think Guglielmi got a little bit went deeper into the braking area than Phil Hindley, and because Hindley was directly ahead of him, tapped him up the back. They both got very locked up at the front end, and the position has changed. Guglielmi's up into third, Hindley down to fourth place. Well, that last lap drama there at Tower, and I think Hindley will now be stuck in fourth. He's all over the back of Guglielmi, and Jamie Campbell-Walter has gone past the 77 car of Mike Jordan. Last lap dramas for Ben Samuelson as well. Samuelson took a position there and loses it again on the final lap. Oh dear, and it's all going horribly skew with there for Ben. Trying to stay out of everybody's way. He's not really racing for championship points, just for the enjoyment of it. Doesn't want to be taking anybody else off. Out of the turn for the last time then. It's Ian McKellar to the line in first, so he gets the win from Michael Caine. Guglielmi third, and just fourth place at the line for Phil Hindley from Jamie Campbell-Walter. Well, Ian McKellar had to fight for that one, but he should be justifiably delighted with that victory as a result. McKellar by a fraction from Caine, Guglielmi in third place, and McKellar still the leader of the series. Well, beautiful conditions for driving and for watching sports cars here at Brands Hatch. Richard Finney starts 23rd of the 38 cars on this monster grid. Gets a good launch as the front row get away. Oh, there could be carnage behind. There's trouble. Somebody's in the barriers on the inside. Looks as though that might have been around the vicinity of Steve Hyde's position on the grid. Jamie Campbell-Walter behind Steve Sutcliffe. Goes around the outside of the reigning champion at Druids. Hindley comes back under acceleration, tucks in ahead of Campbell-Walter. Campbell-Walter is in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7th place. Gets a bump from Steve Sutcliffe and continues through Graham Hill Bend. Ian McKellar leads from Michael Caine, Steve Guglielmi, Martin Short in fourth, ahead of Mike Jordan in fifth place. Well, those two have started very well indeed from the third and fourth rows of the grid respectively. Steve Sutcliffe dropped down the order a little in that collision with Jamie Campbell-Walter, lost at least 3 places. Riding with Richard Finney, the Porsche 944 turbo driver, chasing Giles Cooper, who started 6 places ahead of him on the grid. So a great start there from Richard Finney. Field streaming around the Brands Hatch Grand Prix circuit now. This is Derek Minter Straight. They go through Westfield and then climb Dingledell up to the Dingledell chicane. Impressive flying over the curbs exercise this. You can't see your way out as you go in. You have to know where you're headed for. These guys all do. McKellar from Caine, then Guglielmi from Short. That's the top 4. Right behind this battle, we've got the reigning champion is behind Mike Jordan. Now he's going around to the outside as McKellar guards the inside. Headlights ablaze on the black nose of the number 1 machine, Phil Hindley. Jamie Campbell-Walter dropping back a little behind them. There is the black and yellow Hawthorns car. And right behind him, Troy Dunlop battling away. Again with Richard Finney into Druids. There he is, the second car in the shot. Through goes the 34 car. That's Matt Doman in the middle of the group there. Oh my goodness me. James Patterson gets it wrong under braking in number 87, and successfully around the outsides just goes Gary Britnell. Patterson now doing the 3-point driving special to get himself back into the race, and I think that is stone last. Replay of the start then, courtesy of Jamie Campbell-Walter. He goes down the pit wall. Ooh, Steve Sutcliffe right across his nose, and it was Ian Flux in the wall. Ian Flux goes straight into the barriers on the inside. Well, thought it might have been Steve Hyde, but in fact Ian Flux a couple of rows ahead of him on that side of the grid. Campbell-Walter's got a great view as they run on the approach into Hawthorn Bend. Short on the inside, Jordan on the outside. Oh, contact! Oh, and my goodness me, Phil Hindley goes over the top of Martin Short as Short gets sideways, and Jordan gets even more sideways across his nose. The 3 of them swap positions. Hindley with flapping front bodywork is ahead now of Short with flapping rear bodywork, and Jordan is in trouble. He's pulling off. I think he is terminally wounded here. Jamie Campbell-Walter passed all 3 of them. Mike Jordan may get back to the pits, but I don't think it'll do him too much good even if he does. TVR in big trouble there. Somebody else in big trouble it seems as we ride with Richard Finney. Reeds of tyre smoke coming off Martin Short, the green car there. Looks as though he's heading for the pits. Indeed he is. His race, I'm sure, is over. Yeah, Short's team running to meet him, but I don't know how much good it'll do. He pulls up, oh, bizarrely, behind Ian Flux's damaged car. Martin Short, well, I'll be surprised if he doesn't just bail out here and now. In comes the number 45 machine, Michael Caine's teammate. That's Julian Locke. Looks like he's got problems as well. Well, replay now from onboard Mike Jordan's car. Goes around the outside. Martin Short on the inside, gets spun across his nose. And the damage being done in the collision with Martin Short. Didn't quite see the spectacular shot there of the car going over the top of Short of Phil Hindley. Here we go from the outside again. Steve Guglielmi on the grass there. Jordan and Short side by side, almost room, but not quite enough as Jordan spins across Short's bow, slows him right down, and Hindley can't avoid Martin Short's green machine, rams the back of it, climbs all over the top of it. Yes, Phil Hindley, I think, will probably be in slight handling difficulties with that one as well. Never mind the fact that he's got the front bodywork ripping its way off the car. Guglielmi showing the signs of damage on his car as well in his battle. Jamie Campbell-Walter now up to 4th place and chasing that group down. Here is the man he clashed with on lap 1, Steve Sutcliffe. That's 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th and 12th places and all the rest there. We're riding with Richard Finney in that group, and I'm sure I saw the flapping bodywork of the reigning champion ahead of us. Matt Doman's picked up a puncture. One of many drivers, I'm sure, to run over debris at Hawthorne Bend last time. Yes, there is Phil Hindley in the middle of that group. And here is a battle coming up to Hawthorne's. Well, that one safely passed off with no damage done. Colin Blur in 5th. This is the battle for 6th. Steve Hyde and Steve Sutcliffe. Up into the Dingledale chicane they go. Oh, somebody's gone off. Riding with Richard Finney, yellow flags are out. Yes, somebody definitely went off, and I think that was Colin Blower at the lead of that group. So the 5th place man has gone off heavily. It is the number 5 machine. Gone off heavily. Getting Dingledale wrong is never an easy thing to get out of. And Blower straight over the curbs into the barriers. Bang, big impact. Look how far back the car's been bounced, 12 feet or so back off the barriers. Race leader with his hand out to the cockpit, signifying that he's slowing down. He hasn't got a problem. He has seen these flags, the black and yellow quartered flag. It means assume a pace car situation. The marshals then obviously needing a bit of time to sort out that Colin Blur incident. And Jamie Campbell-Walter here is in 4th place. Ahead of him, Martin Short rejoined from the pits, a couple of laps down now. And Jamie trying to communicate, I think, that he would like him to get out of the way as soon as possible, please, when they go green. The marshals manhandling what's left of the TVR away. It won't roll, of course, if not all its wheels are attached. A replay of another incident about the same time. Heinz Schumann on the inside, Tom Combrink on the outside, just avoids the gravel traps at Paddock and then gets on the power too soon. Heady with the success of not having crashed the first time, spins out at the bottom of the hill. Well, away they go, racing again as Colin Blower's remnants of his car have been cleared up. Jamie Campbell-Walter behind Martin Short, not part of this 4-way lead battle, but he will definitely hold Jamie Campbell-Walter up if he doesn't make his way out of this lead group soon. Short with nothing to gain really by being in the middle of this pack. And Jamie Campbell-Walter with everything to lose. And I imagine that his hang signals will become more and more agitated if he can't find a way past Martin Short once they get onto the Grand Prix loop. Short pointing to the inside, going, go on, if you're going to go, go. Jamie Campbell-Walter takes the indication at his word. Freewheeling out of Surtees, picking up the inside wheel as the cars squat down under power. The red light there on the dashboard indicating that Jamie's at maximum revs. Martin Short pulls off the Grand Prix loop, takes the shortcut and heads back to the pits. I'm sure he knows that the car is not really up to scratch now. Oh dear, Jeff Evans getting it wrong, exiting Surtees. Onto the grass he goes, and back onto the track. Oh my goodness, they're all coming up fast behind Jeff, better watch your mirrors. Here is the race leader though, Ian McKellar, Michael Caine, Steve Guglielmi and Jamie Campbell-Walter. They are your top 4. And Steve Sutcliffe and Tim Hood in that order now in 5th and 6th positions. But as they come into Clark Curve for the final time, Ian McKellar leads Michael Caine. It's a drag race for the line. Can Michael Caine pull alongside him? He goes low, he has to go high. It's the long way round No, by half a car's length. Ian McKellar wins from Michael Caine. Steve Guglielmi third, Jamie Campbell-Walter fourth. Tim Hood in sixth place with Steve Sutcliffe just ahead of him. Great result for Michael Caine. That leapfrogs him into second in the points behind McKellar.
Round 7 of the series at Castle Combe was pretty much the midway point of the season. But the beginning of race 1 saw this incident involving Ian Flux and Ian Astley. Flux's appalling season continuing with a lot of damage to the car when they went out at Folly at the start. And so to the restart, and we rejoin your commentator Martin Haven for all the action.
There is Short, the green machine, with the yellow window frame. Behind him is McKellar, the checkered flag on the nose. Then Steve Sutcliffe just about to lose a place as, well, Martin Short isn't here, in fact, as they come out of Camp Corner. Sutcliffe got a very bad run through the second chicane. Martin Short, well, he just managed to hold off Ian McKellar there, but on the run up to Avon Rise, McKellar goes past into second place. So Short down to third. Let's have a look behind them, because I think there's been a change for fourth position. There has. There is the number 1 car, the reigning champion Phil Hindley is in fourth. Steve Sutcliffe in fifth, and Sutcliffe having another look at him as Hindley decides to try and move on Martin Short there. Big slide from McKellar, he's holding them up. Martin Short is stuck behind him, and he's got Phil Hindley swarming all over the back of his machine. Well, McKellar got away with that one, but Short was very nearly under attack there from Hindley as a result.
Ian McKellar's afternoon, though, was ruined, however, when mechanical gremlins intervened. He cruised slowly back to the pits, but was hopeful of a better result in race 2.
Well, this battle now as tyres and brakes get worn. Little push there from Phil Hindley. Slide for Sutcliffe, and a big slide for Hindley as he gets the power down nice and early. Oh my goodness! Made contact with John Kent. He's gone right across his nose, slammed into the barriers. He's racing on! Well, yellow flags are out. No, he's not racing on, surely. No, I think it was just momentum that carried him on. Phil Hindley stopping before he gets onto the track. And it looks as though his steering might have been broken there. So Phil Hindley out of that battle. Steve Hyde coming down to the chicane behind Ashley Ward, and Ward's got it all wrong. Goes over onto the grass on the inside. Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. Hits the tyres as well. Spun himself out there. Oh, pay attention, Ashley, when you're rejoining and there's a big group of cars behind you. Yes, thank you very much. Oh dear. Well, he's adding insult to injury there, really compounding his problems by getting away with not quite enough observation and a little too much in the way of throttle. Replay here of a bizarre incident at Old Paddock. Phil Dyer spins out, but trying to avoid him and therefore having to really do some grass cutting there. Lucky to avoid the narrowing gap between Dyer and the tyres. Checkered flag awaits. Mike Jordan from pole position wins the first race at Castle Combe at a race meeting sponsored by his personal sponsors. And so victory for him, he will be delighted, so too will be the sponsors. Third place behind Martin Short, Steve Sutcliffe at the line by a fraction of a second from Michael Caine. But it's smiles all round for Mike Jordan. Jordan the victor then, and after that start line incident, Eugene O'Brien claiming a narrow 6th place. 38 cars on the grid for the start of race 2 of round 7. Somebody creeping on the outside. That was the white car, 87, James Patterson. He got away, so did everybody else. And Martin Short, best start of all again. This time from the outside of row 1 rather than from 3rd place on the grid. Jumps Mike Jordan. Jordan really has got to get this starting business sorted out. No point qualifying on pole if you drop down the order as soon as the green lights come on. Sutcliffe in 3rd, Campbell-Walter in 4th as the field spreads out here. Phil Hindley there, retired a lap from the end of race 1, so he's starting right down the order. That should be good for fun. Jeff Evans also spun out of the race, so he's further down the order as well this time. Chasing the number 12 machine of John Ravenscroft, goes past him. John Hutchinson in 42 runs wide as well, so he picks up 2 places there at chicane. That's not bad indeed for your first run through. Short, Jordan, Sutcliffe, Campbell-Walter, there's the top 4. Troy Dunlop in 5th place with Michael Caine right behind him in 6th position. Then the yellow and red machine is Eugene O'Brien in 7th. Steve Cole behind him in 8th. The white car of Patterson in 9th as Martin Short holds on to his lead through Camp Corner, but not by much. Well, that is coming onto the start-finish straight, and that is where Mike Jordan's sponsors' guests will be. Watching the action, Jordan determined now to win this one as well. Goes to the inside at Avon Rise, doesn't work. Martin Short really defending hard, and you can tell that because everybody's bunched right up behind him. Sutcliffe third, Campbell Walter comes alongside. Side by side they come. Campbell Walter's on the inside, but can he outbreak Sutcliffe? He can't really. Yes, he can. Mike Jordan just far enough ahead. Looking back now, Jordan second, Campbell Walter lights ablaze in third place. Oh, and it looks like a little fractional gear change mistake there by Martin Short. That's all the chance that Mike Jordan needs through Hammerdown and into Tower. He goes down the inside, very close. Martin Short fighting him off and determined to keep the door shut on Jamie Campbell Walter behind. Jordan trailing smoke as he locks a brake, braking desperately late into Bobby's chicane. Martin Short second, Campbell Walter third, Sutcliffe in fourth place. And that quartet now starting to ease away a little bit from the rest of the grid. Jordan Short, Campbell Walter, Kane in fifth place there. Then Troy Dunlop, Eugene O'Brien, and side by side Richard Finney goes through on the inside of Steve Cole. Cole onto the grass, and that is problems for him because John Kent comes past him now. 19, Grant Tremans is next up. Tim Hood right behind him looking to make a move. Didn't happen. With Steve Hyde right behind that battle. There is Hood. Ian McKellar going around the outside ahead of us here. He's on the outside of Tremans. We cut back to the inside, trying to get past Tim Hood. Oh, big slide. There's contact there, certainly. There is Tim Hood now. Pops out to defend as we go into the chicane at the S's. Well, here comes this fraught battle. There is the checkered noseband of Ian McKellar. Worked his way through them in fairly short order, didn't he? With Jeff Evans, Giles Cooper to our right there. Side by side through the chicane. Oh, Giles Cooper picks up the position. Kane up into third, Sutcliffe fourth, Jamie Campbell Walter in fifth place. Campbell Walter slingshots around to the outside, and Peter Wheeler takes to the grass, gets it wrong at the chicane. And yeah, very careful to have a quick look before he rejoins. Slow motion replay here, Camp Corner, Gary Britnell getting it all wrong, trying to go down the inside of David Porter. Running wide over the grass on the exit, and keeps it nicely together there. You've got to have a calm head to do that, because if you get out of the throttle there, the thing will spin immediately.
But it was Mike Jordan who soaked up the pressure from Martin Short and Michael Kane to take the double at Castle Combe. In the championship table, McKellar retained his lead from Michael Kane, with 98 champ Phil Hindley in third.
Knockhill in Scotland, the venue for round 8 of the TVR Tuscan Challenge. The format, 2 qualification races and a main race, but Ashley Ward will not even take the start of the qualification race. On the pole, the white car of Steve Guglielmi, alongside him the green car of Martin Short. Jamie Campbell Walter third, Phil Hindley fourth. Bad start from Campbell Walter, good start from row 3 with Steve Cole, the blue machine, making a move up the inside. Nick Creswell there showing us the view from the middle of the field. Down into the first corner they come. Oh! Colin Blower in the white car there, and that's Giles Cooper going over the top. They also collect the number 8 machine. That's Peter Wheeler, the chairman of TVR. And if you're wondering why the number 5 car of Colin Blower is all white and not blue, it's because he had it rebuilt after a major accident at Brands Hatch last time out. Well, Martin Short leads now from Steve Guglielmi, the pole position man. Giles Cooper's 15 car is moving, but I think only to get back to the pits to have some serious cosmetic surgery done to it. Yellow and black quartered flag is out, and that means assume a safety car situation while we sort out the kerfuffle. Martin Short hand out of the cockpit, as have a number of the other drivers. You see Jamie Campbell Walter waving in third place. Fourth was Phil Hindley, ahead of Cole and Sutcliffe. And there again the waved yellows, meaning take extreme care please. Replay of the start, John Hartshorn on the right making contact with Giles Cooper, the yellow car in the middle. Around the outside goes Colin Blower and doesn't quite make it, gets hung up across the nose of the yellow car. And they can't untangle themselves, and more damage being done there to both machines. Peter Wheeler clatters into them in the 8 car. Gary Britnell in the gravel there at the bottom of the hill, but look, he just escapes it as Peter Wheeler gets going once more. 27 Steve Sutcliffe there, behind Steve Cole. They are 5th and 6th in the lineup as they come up the hill. waiting for the green. Now they get it. A lot of jostling and manoeuvring before they got to the green. Eugene O'Brien, the back of that group, the car with the grey, red and yellow colour scheme. There is the number one machine of the reigning champion, Phil Hindley. Cars this time safely through Duffer's Dip, and again taking the view from Nick Cresswell's rollover hoop. Martin Short leading. Steve Guglielmi in second place. And there is Eugene O'Brien's car with a straight out of the body shop bonnet on it, still in primer. Dirt being kicked up, and everybody safely on the track at this stage still. Down into the final corner at Taylor's. Heavy braking here, and down the inside goes Phil Hindley. Guglielmi challenged Short, lost track position there, and then inside him came Phil Hindley. Hindley takes the advantage there, moves up to second, and Jamie Campbell-Walter now side by side. In fact, he's not even at the start line. Jamie Campbell-Walter has moved up ahead of Steve Guglielmi, and this time Hindley moves past Martin Short. Great move. He goes from third to first in two corners, Phil Hindley. Hindley leads Short, Jamie Campbell-Walter third, Guglielmi fourth, Cole in fifth place in the blue car. The green car of Steve Sutcliffe was in sixth position. Eugene O'Brien was in seventh. Then in eighth place, it's John Hartshorn ahead of us as we ride with Nick Cresswell in ninth. Down into Clark, and this is a good passing opportunity in the smaller cars. Not quite sure whether it's on in a TVR, but Martin Short going to challenge again. Look how close to the right-hand side of the track Phil Hindley is. He's just going to make sure that there is absolutely no way a TVR can come between him and the curb on the inside. Short gets hit by Campbell-Walter under braking. Campbell-Walter moving to the left-hand side as they go up the hill. There's Peter Wheeler still battling at the back of the field with Gary Britnell. And a monster lock-up from Phil Hindley. He holds it all together though. Campbell-Walter now in second place. Martin Short in third. As the three-way battle for the lead continues. Again, these cars really dancing around under braking. Short again hits Campbell-Walter. Oh, really thumps him up the back this time. Bits flew off Jamie's car with the first contact, and then a substantial bash up the backside from Martin Short. Eugene O'Brien tried to take to the grass around the outside. Jamie gesticulating there at the officials in his disgust. Steve Cole still with Steve Sutcliffe right behind him there, third and fourth now. Martin Short in second place. No sign at all of the leader. Phil Hindley really cleared off.
Indeed, Hindley stroked the TVR home from Short, Steve Cole and Steve Sutcliffe. An aggrieved Jamie Campbell-Walter remonstrated with Short in the scrutineering bay, feeling that he had been unfairly pushed out of second in the results. Not a happy man at all. Confirmation of the result then, with the victory going to Hindley from Cole and Sutcliffe in third, Campbell-Walter in fourth. On to race two, and veteran TVR racer Ian Flux led from Kane and McKellar. As they approached Clark Corner though, Ian Flux slowed.
And being waved through by Ian Flux, so Flux having a problem here as well. Oh dear, this is very bad news indeed for Ian Flux. Number 7 car started superbly and running at the front of the field, but he's waved the leaders through. He has definitely got some kind of a problem, and he is not going to hold them up. So Michael Kane leading the race then from Ian McKellar, and by a country mile these two ahead of everybody else. There's Troy Dunlop with Mike Jordan right behind him, and there is Steve Hyde. So they've all passed Ian Flux, and they are third, fourth and fifth at the moment. Dunlop is third, Jordan is fourth. Don't forget he started from the pit lane and looks now as though he might be going for a podium position here. 23 car of Andy Britnell putting some pressure on the 10 car of Steve Hyde. And look at this gap, dead track between Michael Kane and Ian McKellar. And Mike Jordan in third place now, ahead of Troy Dunlop, having passed him on the run up to the chicane. So Jordan third, Dunlop fourth. And then Steve Hyde holding off Andy Britnell, but only just. White car of Mike Jordan pulling away now from Troy Dunlop in fourth place. And Steve Hyde wide into the final turn. Andy Britnell says thank you very much and goes straight past him into fifth place. Well, either Hyde thought that Britnell wasn't close enough to try something, or that was a mistake. Ed Sharp's orange car next up, and Britnell defending now. He's got that place. desperately to hold off the number 10 machine of Steve Hyde. Well, we've seen cars riding the curbs, but this is what happens if you ride them too much. Grant Troman's spinning out in a cloud of dirt, going far too heavily over the second part of the chicane. And another spin as he tries to gather it all together and get the power down to straighten the car out. Checkered flag though for Michael Caine, Ian McKellar in second place, and Mike Jordan third place, having started from the pits ahead of Troy Dunlop, Andy Britnell and Steve Hyde, the rest of the top six. 26 drivers from the TVR Tuscan Challenge making the long trek north to Knockhill in Scotland for round 8. Michael Caine lining up at the front of the grid on pole position. The field had been split into two halves, each of them had their own race, and Michael Caine was the winner of his half of the field. Phil Hindley lines up alongside him, and he was the winner of the second race. And in second place in race 1 and in race 2, the men line up behind him, Ian McKellar and Martin Short on row 2 of the grid, and so on. Ian Flux retired from the race that Michael Caine won. He's right at the back on the right-hand side of the grid as he looks at the start line. So the two halves of the field lined up alongside each other. And away they go, a nice clean start, except Mike Jordan stalls from third position on the grid in his half of the field, the inside of row 3, and that's, well, I don't believe it, somehow they have all managed to get by him. Jordan's hit the starter button and away he goes, finally manages to kick the car into life. Ian Flux behind him. So these two men, very much front runners both, right at the tail of the field. But look at that, poor start from Michael Caine, or not poor, but certainly not as good as Phil Hindley's. Phil Hindley leads the race. Michael Caine in second place. He has Ian McKellar all over the back of him. Martin Short in fourth place, and off he goes. Well, Caine just about holds it. It looks as though there may have been contact from behind though. Michael Caine really in trouble there. Back down in the middle of the field. Race leader still Phil Hindley. Ian McKellar in second place. Martin Short really trying to force an error from the blue and yellow machine now in third. All over the back of that car. The man in the 96 car is not giving this one up easily. Well, Short is really going to have to keep harassing him, because Jamie Campbell-Walter, now that he has shaken off the Steves, Cole and Sutcliffe, out on his own. There he is, the black car with the headlamps on, and he will certainly close on this battle. Martin Short looks down the inside into Taylor's. It's very tight, but he gets it. Well, McKellar there definitely giving him room in the death. He knew that he could fight it all the way down, but there would be contact and that would do neither of them any good. So self-preservation the rule there. McKellar goes in to the corner deep on the racing line, gets a good drive out over the start-finish line. He's already back up into second place ahead of Martin Short, and he manages to hold that into the first corner. So McKellar second, Short third, Campbell-Walter closing in fourth, Cole and Sutcliffe battling behind them. And here is Grant Tromans. He's already gone past Ed Sharp. Now he's on the tail of the 16 car of John Hartshorn. He's coming through the order, goes past Hartshorn in fairly short order as well. Nice big five-way battle going on there. Campbell-Walter now making this a three-way scrap as Phil Hindley clears off in the lead. Number 1 car, the reigning champion, just coming up to some of the back markers here. 20 laps of the 1.3 circuit for the TVR Tuscans, and that's plenty of time to get in amongst the slower traffic, no doubt about it. Everybody there getting the hurry up from their various teams as they hang over the pit wall, as they crest the rise. Jamie Campbell-Walter makes the move. Little wave out of the cockpit there to Martin Short for saying, thank you for giving me the room to race. And the room to pass you, of course. Martin Short goes down into fourth as Campbell-Walter takes third position. McKellar ahead of him. Oh, and a big lock-up right ahead of Ian McKellar, the 37 car of David Thomas. And McKellar getting caught out there, nearly running into the back of him, and as a result loses speed. Jamie Campbell-Walter squeezes past. He's being pushed now down the straight by McKellar, literally, as the leader comes down the inside, safely past Martin Crass and into Taylor's. But what's happening behind him? Jamie Campbell-Walter still had his nose in front. McKellar in third place, Short in fourth place, Steve Cole in fifth there. And the black flag with the orange spot being shown to the number 20 car, that is Ashley Ward. And that means that they realise that he has got a problem that he needs to be aware of and come into the pits to sort out. Well, a very, very impressive few laps from Jamie Campbell-Walter. passing cars left, right and centre, and really snapped up the position from Ian McKellar when McKellar caught a slower car at the chicane here a lap ago. McKellar just catching him at the wrong place. In comes Ashley Ward. And what's happening? Oh, part of the back of the car has been subtly removed by the mechanics stamping on it. And here's the replay that shows what happened. The red tail there of Ward's car. He gets hung up coming out of the final turn, backwards into the barriers, has his hands behind his head as he goes in there to protect himself from the shock that he knows is coming. Well, Hindley throws his car through Duffus, so too does Campbell Walter, both driving very aggressively, using all the road, plenty of curb as well. Seems that Jamie's having a bit of a tough time catching the leader though. McKellar in third place. Here he comes over the curbs, Martin Short in fourth. Right behind them now, the man who was on pole position, Michael Caine, recovering from his problem. Mike Jordan recovering from his stall, he's in sixth place. So those two who had trouble were really very aggressive in fighting their way back towards the front. But perhaps nobody more aggressive than this man. Phil Hindley, winner of the third race at Knockhill, wins the main event. Jamie Campbell Walter in second place, but nearly 4.5 seconds behind and just a fraction ahead of Ian McKellar. Another spin for Martin Crass at the end of the race. Not having a happy time in Scotland, but Phil Hindley certainly has. Campbell Walter just beating McKellar to the line.
I've worked hard for this.
Victory then for Phil Hindley. Jamie Campbell Walter in second place, and in third place Ian McKellar. Prizes presented by Nissan Touring Car star and Scotsman David Leslie.
Thanks very much.
Jamie Campbell Walter's team manager when he was in Vauxhall Junior single seaters. Taught him everything he knows. Well, perhaps he ought to teach him a couple more tips than he might have been on the top step of the podium. Great race though from Jamie Campbell Walter, came well up the order to finish second to Phil Hindley. Just pipped Ian McKellar. McKellar though still holds onto his championship lead.
Donington Park for the ninth round. Mike Jordan and Michael Caine had broken free of the chasing pack. But right behind, the action was hotting up.
Steve Guglielmi in third place, fighting off Phil Hindley. Martin Short and Ian McKellar behind, and contact! Well, Hindley made contact with the back of Guglielmi's car, under braking there, going into McLean's, loses the place again on the way out. Short goes past him. McKellar is right there as well. You can see the psychology being involved here with the headlights glaring in the mirrors to try and distract the attention of the driver ahead. Guglielmi's car certainly not slow in a straight line, and the battling trio behind won't be helping themselves. Short on the inside, so is Hindley. Does that leave McKellar stuck out on the outside? No, he gets his nose in between the two of them somehow as they go through Goddard's. Problems here for Grant Tromans in the number 19 machine, starting in 11th place, trailing smoke of some kind. Martin Short, another demon outbraking manoeuvre down the inside to hold off Ian McKellar and Phil Hindley. Oh, they're going three abreast. Oh, incredible stuff. And Short gets squeezed out between them. Mike Jordan in first, Michael Caine in second, Steve Guglielmi in third place here. And then the battle for fourth. McKellar, Hindley and Short in that order, but not necessarily that order at the end of the lap. Jamie Campbell Walter picks up another spot going into Redgate. Oh, understeering all over the place. Hand out to the cockpit in disgust. What on earth is going on? Sorry about that, he says to Grant Tromans, who goes right by him on the outside. Well, let's see what he can do now. Tromans with damage on the right rear of the car. That's why it's trailing smoke, clearly. Meanwhile, here come the battling threesome. McKellar right on the inside. Hindley couldn't get inside him. Short trying to stay around the outside. And will he do it? He's just waving there at Phil Hindley. Excuse me, I'm going through here if you don't mind. Race leader Mike Jordan. Haven't seen much of him since the start. Rather boring race for him. Still the battle for fourth place. Short in the middle of it now. McKellar at the front. He's fourth. Short in fifth. But Mike Jordan romping away here to the checkered flag. Absolutely dominant performance from pole position to take victory in the first race of round 9. Second Michael Caine. Third Steve Guglielmi. And fourth at the line will be Ian McKellar. Surely from Martin Short in fifth. And Phil Hindley, the reigning champion, in sixth position. But it is victory for the ex-Porsche racer. Mike Jordan wins the first part of round 9 at Donington Park.
Race 2, and Jordan pulled away again from Guglielmi and McKellar.
Michael Caine pushed wide in fourth as Martin Short spins. Oh, that's a big, big disappointment for Martin Short. Gyrates the car round under power and gets going again, but what a disappointment there. Steve Cole now in 5th place, Phil Hindley in 6th, and then Ian Flux running wide in 7th place ahead of Jamie Campbell-Walter. And Martin Short down in the 20s now. Mike Jordan, runaway winner of race 1, running away again from Steve Guglielmi in race 2 here. Looking back from Guglielmi, that's Ian McKellar in 3rd place. There is Martin Short picking up places into the old hairpin, and thumbs up in thank you to Tim Hood, who he just went past there for giving him a bit of racing room.
Michael Caine got the better of McKellar to take 3rd though at Goddard's. Meanwhile, Andy Britnell lost all hope, putting his Tuscan in the gravel trap at Redgate. And Mike Jordan continued in the lead from Guglielmi, with Caine and McKellar 3rd and 4th respectively. And that's the way they finished, Mike Jordan taking his 2nd double of the season. Championship leader Ian McKellar managed only 4th, but he went on to retain the series lead by 18 points from Caine, with Jordan now up to 5th. Snetterton in Norfolk was the venue for the next round of the series, and Mike Jordan remained the man on form, leading from Caine and McKellar. Behind the leading trio though, it was Steve Sutcliffe's evil handling Tuscan that finally got the better of him, his car suffering after a first lap collision with Phil Hindley. And then it was Jordan's turn to suffer, his car suddenly losing power as Caine gleefully took over the lead. Further back, there was drama at the chicane when James Steventon spun into the middle of the track, causing Phil Hindley to take avoiding action. While at the front, it was Caine who went on to win from McKellar, a good result for Cole in 3rd, with Finney, Kent and Sutcliffe making up the top 6 in race 1. Race 2, and Steve Guglielmi had Ian Flux on his tail, that is until Fluxy lost his brakes and spun out, allowing Martin Short through. Short, however, lost out in the final drag to the line, Flux and Troy Dunlop getting past, pushing him down to 4th. Series returnee Gavin Cooper taking 5th from Steve Hyde. And on to the final race, where Caine led Flux, McKellar and Guglielmi onto the fast Revit Straight.
Michael Caine still leading. Ian Flux a few car lengths behind him in 2nd place. McKellar, Guglielmi, then the blue car of Cole. Short gets ahead now of the 36 machine of Finney. And right behind them, Dunlop and Sutcliffe. Short now looking to make a move on the blue car ahead of him. And from our onboard camera, we see it all goes wrong. They both spin. Well, Martin Short spun on the inside of Steve Cole, collected him, hand out of the cockpit to say, I'm sorry guys, please try and avoid me. And as you can see here from Matt Doman's camera, not the easiest thing to do in the middle of a tightly packed field. Well, Steve Cole gets away, and I fancy that perhaps Martin Short's spin caused by a wayward moment from somebody ahead. There was a huge dust cloud on the exit of the corner. Somebody else goes off there, ahead of our cameraman Matt Doman. Perhaps Short spinning in avoidance of what he thought was going to be an incident. Possibly he just got it wrong in the bomb hole and lost it, hard to tell. Sutcliffe under pressure now from Gavin Cooper. The number 9 car is right behind us. We ride with him into Coram. Ooh, was that contact there? Is he just having a problem with the car? Hard to tell. But it looks as though Cooper's broadside down the inside. Very late braking from both men. Sutcliffe forced to go over the grass to avoid the collision, and he loses the place. Arm out of the cockpit, the white nose of Steve Hyde. He's in trouble. Past him comes John Kent, the 99 machine, at the head of this group. Well, John Kent with the reigning champion behind him, again going inside Giles Cooper. That move won't stay put to bed. Grant Tromans goes past as well, the dark silver grey machine. And the battle for 2nd place still very much alive. Ian Flux has it. He's the mainly white car there. Predominantly yellow machine in the middle of it. That's Ian McKellar ahead of Steve Guglielmi. Well, where's the leader? Michael Caine a long way ahead of them up the road. There he is, just disappearing out of shot. This is the next group here. Sutcliffe, Hindley, then John Kent, Grant Troman's behind him, and then Giles Cooper, number 15. John Kent, like Ian Flux, a former champion, and goodness me, Giles Cooper turns sharp right into the barriers. A big impact and a big spin across the road, loses a wheel as well. What on earth happened there? As he hit the brakes, the car turned sharp right into the barriers at the inside of Ritchie's. Oh, what a worrying moment for him. I'm sure he's very shaken after that one. Not just from the impact, but from the fact that it was completely unexpected. Let's see what happens here. Hard on the power, into the braking area. Whoa! And off he goes. He did not see that one coming, and I'm not surprised at all. Oh, dear me. Well, let's have a look again. He loses the back end somehow. Maybe that was a partial brake failure. The impact rips off a wheel as well. And off he goes into the gravel. Well, fortunately undamaged, the driver, if not the car. Checkered flag awaits Michael Caine as Ian Flux, the number 7 machine, romps away in second place, still holding off Ian McKellar and Steve Guglielmi. Here comes Caine, his advantage, the best part of 5 seconds to take victory. Flux will be second, a drag race between McKellar and Guglielmi that McKellar will win for third, and that's vital for the championship points. Michael Caine now closing up on Ian McKellar once more, less than 10 points in it. So Caine the winner, Flux in second place, McKellar in third. And in the championship, still everything to play for.
Next up was a return to the ultra-fast Castle Combe circuit in Wiltshire. Mike Jordan had taken yet another victory in race 1 from Caine and Jamie Campbell-Walter. In the second race, McKellar fought off Steve Guglielmi, but Phil Hindley slid through to second at Tower. Guglielmi then pad his way back inside into Bobby chicane, but went in too hot and spun out onto the grass. Martin Short's race was spoilt by a broken gear lever, although he managed to jam it in fourth and continue. But McKellar it was who took a popular victory from Hindley and Finney. The final race beckoned.
So Mike Jordan will start the main race on pole, winner of the first heat and the winner of the second heat alongside him, Ian McKellar, with their respective heat drivers lined up behind. Now, a bizarre start here for Ian Flux. No clutch. He's got the engine running. As soon as the marshals leave the grid, he tries to put it into gear, but with no clutch, he has no option but to drive off or stall. As a result, it looks like he's setting off on a lap of his own. Well, eventually the starter gives the word to the rest of the field. Flux with no option but to either cause pandemonium in the middle of the field or head off when he engaged the gear. Everybody else follows. Ian McKellar leading from Mike Jordan as we ride with Richard Finney. But quite the bizarrest start I think I've ever seen in motor racing. McKellar with the inside line holds on as Jordan goes through behind him. There's Ian Flux's grid mate, Martin Short, now with a gear lever fully fitted back into the car. He won't have to use his fingers to change gear. And riding with Michael Caine, they all seem to have made it, at least the lead order seem to have made it through the chicane safely. Tim Hood's car gets T-boned there by the second works TVR, the number 12 car. He was stationary on the entrance to the S's, but the leaders through safely. McKellar from Jordan and the rest of the squabbling pack. There's Flux, undoubtedly going to get a penalty. I really don't think 10 seconds will quite cut it for a jump start of such prodigious proportions. Maybe they'll knock it up to 30 seconds or a minute. Depends what the regulations allow for, really. Strictly speaking then, this perhaps the race for second place as Jordan goes back ahead of McKellar. And we're riding again with Finney. Ashley Ward back in action there alongside Steve Hyde, another man to have had problems in his heat. If they stay that close together, they'll both have problems. Michael Caine trying to take advantage of a big slide there on the exit by Richard Finney. Caine eager to get the power down, but couldn't quite get it all sorted out nicely in time. Goes down the inside into Tower and holds on to the place, or picks up the place rather. Holds on to the car. Jamie Campbell-Walter and Steve Sutcliffe now behind Richard Finney. Jordan, I think, will have to assume leading the race then. from McKellar, but not any longer. Jordan with a problem. McKellar goes past, so does Hindley, so does Kane. And this is Mike Jordan ahead of us now as we ride with Richard Finney. Jamie Campbell-Walter and Steve Sutcliffe have both got past. But at the moment it looks as though Jordan is racing normally again. There's Steve Guglielmi also trying to go past Richard Finney. Lining up behind him is Troy Dunlop. Oh, and tyre squeal. Oh, not again. Oh, this time it does cause more damage for the 18 car. Well, Brian Colwell, I think perhaps I was going to say we'll call it a day there, but no, he's got the engine going and back in gear. Good man. Riding with Kane. This is effectively our top three. Timekeepers announcing to race control that in fact Ian Flux's start hadn't happened. They hadn't even switched on the timekeeping clocks by the time he left. But they were probably still having their sandwiches after the previous race. Michael Kane gives a little wave to say thanks for giving me room there as he picks up second place. And there ahead is the championship points leader. Oh, goodness me. Steve Sutcliffe has a little nudge there and just holds on to it. But Martin Short gets past him. Well, Michael Kane and Mike Jordan, second and third. And then Phil Hindley and Jamie Campbell-Walter going down the inside. The black car on the far right-hand side of the picture, now on the left, right on the inside line. And eventually, Phil Hindley has to let him go because there is just no piece of tarmac he can use to turn in ahead of Campbell-Walter. Well, Jamie started that move very early, but it's paid off in terms of perseverance. These are the top two in the championship, by the way. McKellar, the points leader. Michael Kane, the man who's been closing on him fast since the midpoint of the season. And it will be between these two, I think, that the championship is decided. Well, Kane not helping his own cause there at all. Loses it as he gets on the throttle nice and early. Really chasing the throttle there to try and hound the race leader. Drops down. Troy Dunlop goes past him there, the last of the cars to get past. Riding again with Richard Finney. Well, Finney's excellent first heat doesn't seem to have been parlayed into race pace. Past him goes Steve Guglielmi, recovering from his earlier incident. Black and white flag for number 6. That means we're not very impressed with your driving. Would you kindly curb your enthusiasm? Steve Guglielmi receiving official warning there. And replay. Michael Kane over the curbs. You can hear him get onto the throttle. The car just not settled enough. And here is the race leader. Checkered flag awaits as he narrowly negotiates the back marker, takes it across the line. Victory then for Ian McKellar in round 11 of the TVR Tuscan Championship. Jamie Campbell-Walter in second place. Phil Hindley in third. The battle for the rest of the positions all the way to the line. Michael Kane fourth ahead of Mike Jordan, Steve Guglielmi. So victory, Garland, and the traditional kiss from a good-looking girl for Ian McKellar, and more breathing space in the championship as he eases a fraction further ahead of his closest rival, Michael Kane. Bobby Verden-Rowe starting on pole for round 12 of the TVR Tuscan Challenge at Spa-Francorchamps. Our camera with Steve Sutcliffe back in 9, but Verden-Rowe making a good start from the front row of the grid ahead of Michael Kane. Jamie Campbell-Walter moves into second place, Kane in third, and a great start from Martin Short, 7th on the grid, 4th into the first corner. Riding with Gary Britnell as we go through Eau Rouge and Radillon, then starting the long climb up the Kemmel Straight. Bobby Verden-Rowe, former champion, leading Jamie Campbell-Walter. Martin Short now up to third ahead of the slow starting Michael Kane as the TVRs spread out around the Spa-Francorchamps circuit through Les Combes. Then the right-hander at Marmady starting to drop down the hill through Rivage. Plenty of action in the middle of the pack, locked wheels all over the place, tyre smoke and squealing brakes. Bobby Verden-Rowe in second place, being passed by Martin Short and everyone else. Verden-Rowe has a problem with his car and Jamie Campbell-Walter leads it. Verden-Rowe, hand out to the cockpit. There he is in the second Hawthorne's car. Jamie Campbell-Walter leading then. Into the bus stop, over the curbs he goes. Michael Kane in second, Martin Short third. And collision behind, that's Steve Sutcliffe in the tyres. The number 1 car is the reigning champion, Phil Hindley. 7 car there is Ian Flux. Hindley gets going, but Sutcliffe in a perilous position in the chicane there. Gets the car going once more. And here is Ian Flux behind that group, pushing on ahead of Troy Dunlop. And battles all the way down the field as ever here. 19 is Grant Tromans chasing Ashley Ward. But Jamie Campbell-Walter in charge of this race almost from the end of the first lap. Now under pressure, Michael Caine staging a recovery drive here. Started in second place, dropped right down the order, but as they run down the hill, it's checkered flag and victory in the first race for Jamie Campbell-Walter. Caine close behind him in second, short champion McKellar in fourth, ahead of Flux and Dunlop. On the second race of the afternoon at Spa-Francorchamps and wet track conditions. Caine still leads it though as Martin Short goes past Jamie Campbell-Walter up into second place. He gets it all wrong though, and he takes the Michael Schumacher runoff line over the grass and onto that handy little bit of service road there that gives you the grip to come back on, and again comes back on in the position that he had picked up. Troy Dunlop chasing car number 1, that's Phil Hindley, and there is the 45 machine of Simon Harris. Steve Sutcliffe behind him, lunges down the inside, oh, just avoids contact there. Bobby Verdenroe right behind him now. Replay here as Michael Caine leads them. Martin Short, the green car, holding off Ian McKellar at the hairpin at La Source. McKellar locks up and runs wide there, but he'll get a good run down the hill. And Sutcliffe goes inside Verdenroe, can't do it. Verdenroe's right ahead, trying to find a way past Hyde, and Sutcliffe goes with him, so he picks up the place from Steve Hyde. Here's Troy Dunlop, car number 4, contact, around he goes. And there's a big 4 abreast race down the hill behind him. Verdenroe goes through. Grant Tromans is next, then Simon Harris, the green car of Steve Sutcliffe, and behind them Steve Hyde. So fantastic dicing from these guys. Simon Harris ahead of Grant Tromans, the 19 car. Sutcliffe with Hyde all over the back of him. And Steve Hyde with a great run through Eau Rouge. Peter Wheeler, the chairman of the company, there in car number 8. The boss having great fun as ever. Out of the race here though, Gary Britnell, number 22. Steve Sutcliffe, our other cameraman, showing again how bad conditions are. Looked as though that was Simon Harris running wide. It was indeed. Keeps his foot in, keeps the car going. Good save from Harris. Martin Short looking to make a move early, goes up the inside line, but the grip is on the outside line. Still, Short gets ahead. Can he hold it together through the corner, or will he need to take to the grass? No. Short leads. Caine in second place. McKellar and Campbell-Walter squabbling over third, and their battle just as intense as the one for the lead. Riding again with Sutcliffe, still the water pouring into the car. Must be like an ice-cold bath in there. He's trying to clear off some of the water on the inside of the windscreen so he can see. And he is under pressure from the number 10 machine of Steve Hyde. Well, they are absolutely locked together in combat, these guys. There is car number 50, Dave Porter's in the pits. Oh, and synchronised spinning by Matt Doman in car number 34 and Giles Cooper in car number 15. And synchronised digging into the gravel by the pair of them as well. Short in the closing stages then. Down to La Source for the final time. Michael Caine in second. It'll be a drag race between him and Ian McKellar, but Caine has the advantage. Short will win it. Caine in second. But victory for Martin Short, and I'm sure everybody who finished the race feeling thoroughly delighted with themselves.
So Martin Short taking his first win for some time, and that result at Spa left McKellar and Caine just 12 points apart going into the final round at Silverstone. At Abbey on the first lap of race 1, chaos ensued as the championship leader was hit from behind by Guglielmi. Jamie Campbell-Walter and Phil Hindley were also involved, causing the field to be split. A replay here from on board with Jamie Campbell-Walter, braking hard into the hairpin and unable to avoid the collision ahead, and then, to add insult to injury, hit by Fluxy. Steve Cole and Ashley Ward tangled at Copse, Cole going into the gravel, and Ward ending up in the pit lane exit. And then Martin Short outbraked himself going into Abbey with a trip across the grass for his trouble. Away from all the drama, Bobby Verdon Rowe took the win. But finally, Michael Caine and Ian McKellar finished second and third to set up a fantastic finale to the TVR Tuscan Challenge. Let's join David Addison for all the action of the final race of the season.
If things stay as they are now, in other words, Caine winning with the fastest lap and McKellar second, that means it is going to be a tie. This will be Michael Caine's 5th win of the season, but Ian McKellar has had 8, and so even if things stay as they are now, he is going to be safe for the championship. Whether he is termed safe with Mike Jordan being so close is a matter for speculation. In the meantime, Bobby Verdon Rowe is being caught by Jamie Campbell-Walter. Down they come, nose to tail now through Abbey. Campbell-Walter, remember, fighting his way up from 33rd on the grid. Turning their way into Bridge. Through the right-hander, ahead of Bobby Verdon Rowe. Now another queue of cars, including Simon Harris as his next target, but Campbell-Walter goes for the inside line. He should be able to get past Bobby there. He does so. Heading towards Copse Corner. Jordan once more with his mirrors full of Phil Hindley. And there is Martin Short. Martin Short up into 5th place now from, 17th on the grid. Then Stephen Sutcliffe ahead of Troy Dunlop. Then Ian Flux coming through ahead of Steve Guglielmi. Grant Troman's there is next, and Jamie Campbell-Walter has also got himself ahead of Simon Harris now, going great guns in number 28. Out of Copse. In the meantime, out of Ireland goes the race leader Michael Caine. He's well clear of McKellar, who is still on target to become the 1999 champion, albeit he's going to be decided on a tie. There, spinning out of contention, is Steve Guglielmi. Gets the car going again. That will have cost him another 2 or 3 places at the very least. Mike Jordan there, turning his way out of Abbey. Tucked up behind him is Phil Hindley. Now Mike Jordan is trying to attack for second and defend for 3rd place, although it has to be said, Mike Jordan isn't really attacking that vigorously. All he is doing is shadowing McKellar all the way around Silverstone. It's almost as though he doesn't want to get past him. In some ways, Mike Jordan therefore preserving Ian McKellar's championship. He's also, of course, being able to keep Phil Hindley at bay. Now whether Jordan and McKellar are working together, I'm not sure, but certainly it gives you that impression now, doesn't it? As soon as Phil Hindley gets more vigorous, Mike Jordan just backs off, defends, lets McKellar pull away. Out of Luffield they come now, up through Woodcote Corner. On board with Jamie Campbell-Walter, looking for a way past Richard Finney now as they dive down into the left-hander of Brooklands, the BRDC suite, the new building there on the right-hand side. Jamie Campbell-Walter still sawing away at the wheel, proof of how twitchy these cars are. Mike Jordan turns his way out of Copse, still being chased by Phil Hindley. Richard Stanton turning through there. Steve Cole is ahead. There's a spinner. It's Jeff Evans. Cole goes on the inside and bang! Cole hits it. And also they're ploughing into the side of Jeff Evans' car. That is number 22, Gary Britnell. That was a big, big impact and right into the driver's door as well of Jeff Evans' car. The Silverstone Marshals very quickly on the scene, as in the meantime the battle for second place continues. McKellar, Jordan and Hindley turning their way down towards Abbey. Jeff Evans having spun. Steve Cole was the first man to hit him as he tried to dive through on the inside. Mike Jordan there defending his own 3rd place from number 1, Phil Hindley, as they swing their way through Abbey. They get back on the power now, climbing their way up towards Bridge. Yellow flags out to warn race leader Michael Caine of the troubles ahead. Lap 8 of the race, and locking up there is Bobby Verdon Rowe, heading into Abbey, heading off it. Oh, he stops. He hit something. Now they're in trouble, number 30, Jeff Evans. We know that the car has had 2 big, solid knocks, one by Steve Cole, the other by Gary Britnell, and I suspect that Jeff Evans has been knocked about a bit in that accident. You can see the 3 cars littering the circuit there. The race leaders have to be very, very careful at picking their way past, and not entirely surprisingly, the red flag being shown to stop the race. So with 7 of the 12 laps completed, Michael Caine is going to be declared the winner. He sets the fastest lap. Therefore, second place man Ian McKellar will tie on points with him. And as Michael Caine hasn't had quite as many wins as McKellar, Ian is going to win on the tie-break. As in the meantime, Jeff Evans and Andy Britnell are attended to by the emergency services teams. So, a very dramatic final round to the TVR Tuscan Challenge. And Ian McKellar Jr. crowned as the series winner. Michael Caine celebrates another race win there on the podium. He has an equal number of points to the man on his right. But Ian McKellar Jr. is the 1999 TVR Tuscan Challenge champion. He steps forward now to receive the garland. A very happy man indeed. So, at the end of a terrific season of racing, Ian McKellar comes home in second on the track but wins the championship. Race results, Kane, McKellar and Jordan from Hindley and Martin Short in fifth. But on a tie break, Ian McKellar Jr. is the 1999 champion.